gradingfashion.com/fabric. How to select and order fabric. We're going to take you on a tour of the world's biggest fabric marketplace. It's a store, actually it's a store within a store within a store of fabric. That was just the northeast wing of the third floor of a 5-floor building out of 3 more buildings. So with that much selection, how do you choose the right fabric?
색깔 선택이 예쁘겠어요.
저런 거 하나씩 해놓은 거예요.
사진 찍어가지고.
일자로 고운 걸로 하려면요 저기 있어요.
Well, can't I just ask the guys who own these fabric stores for something that's like 90% cotton, 8% lycra, and 2% spandex? No, because these swatches, they're just not organized that way. Okay, so let's say you wanted fabric that was 95% cotton, 5% spandex. It's a pretty popular mix, right? So you go to this big fabric store and you find something that looks really similar. So let's say it's something like this, and you really like it. It's exactly what you want, except it doesn't have any spandex in it. So you go up to the guy and say, hey, can you get me this with spandex in it? And his answer is no. Everything we sell is out there for you to see. Okay, can you tell me who sells something very similar to this, except with like 3-4% spandex? I'll be happy and compromise with like 2% spandex at this point. That's like asking the kid at McDonald's, you know, the Big Mac's fine and all, but what I'm looking for is a kosher hot dog. Any idea who sells those? In your mind, it's similar, but to these guys, they don't know, they don't care. So, getting the right fabric from a big fabric market like this is like, it's difficult. Let's just say it's difficult. To give you a scope, it's about as difficult as picking, thyme. You like thyme or say oregano. Oregano is a great herb, right? It's a great seasoning. So let's say you're looking for oregano and you go to a 99-cent store and you see all these herbs. How many herbs are there? Like 50 or 60 herbs, right? It's like finding oregano out of all those 50 or 60 herbs. No, it's not. That would be easy. What it's like is finding oregano after all those 50 or 60 herbs have been crashed into by a tractor trailer who just ran through the storefront window, destroying everything, breaking all the bottles, mixing it all up in this huge heap of shards of glass and 50 or 60 different mixed assorted spices. Now try and find your oregano. So if you want to buy fabric, there's really two ways to do it. Well, there's three, except let's just deal with the two big ones. You can either fly into a fabric market like the one in Los Angeles. It's right next to the LA Mart, or in New York, or in Milan, or in Seoul, Korea, in Dongdaemun. It's the biggest fabric market in the world. If I'm wrong, correct me, and correct the Wikipedia page too. In the comments below, just say something. Fly in, spend about, I don't know, 6 months getting asthma because it's dusty in there. The amount of micro dust that's in there. Anyway, air pollution is ridiculous. You're gonna have to wear a mask, literally. There are people that professionally just wear masks all day long searching for fabric. You're gonna have to do that about 2 years. Or you're gonna have to hire someone who's already done that for 2 or more years and say, I want exactly this, this, and that, because this person already knows the names of all the vendors, from Giuseppe to Luigi in Italy, to Chen to Chin in China or Korea. Now, you really didn't think that Aldo Gucci or Coco Chanel did their own fabric market shopping?
보낸다 그러면 보내지 말라고 그래.
They both use agents. Now here's the tricky part. Let's say you found fabric that you really like, in the right color that you like. Let's say you like, I don't know, this one, and it's perfect for you, okay? This is exactly what you want, and you're totally happy with it, because it feels good too. Listen. It even sounds nice, and it's soft and it's supple. As you can see, it's super nice and soft and plush. Okay, it's gonna feel totally different once you put thread through it. Once you sew the stuff together with anything else or even with itself, it's gonna feel totally different. And depending on what thread gauge you use, it'll feel totally different again. And depending on what type of stitching you use, it's gonna feel totally different again. And depending on how often you wash it, what you wash it with, whether you dry clean it, what detergent you use, it's gonna feel totally different again. So, getting a couple yards of this, and then spending a couple $100s to get your first sample made, okay, sounds like a great deal, right? You wash it and you feel it, unless you have a lot of experience to know, okay, if it feels like this before it's been stitched and before it's been washed, then after it's been stitched and washed, it's gonna feel like that. That takes years, sometimes decades of experience to be able to tell, you know what that's like? That's like, this guy's super cool on the first date, but you know, I've dated guys like this. I've actually married 3, and he has this weird little habit that tells me that after 3 years of marriage, he's just gonna be a total asshole. Nobody's just born knowing this stuff. So you know how a divorce is expensive? Well, sorry, you pick the right swatch, and then you buy a bunch of yards of this fabric, and then you turn it into a first sample, and after it gets washed or stitched, it doesn't feel right. Well, just like getting divorced ain't cheap. Picking the wrong fabric ain't cheap either. What you're gonna have to do is go right back to the drawing board, pick a different fabric, and hope this time after it gets stitched and after it gets washed or dry cleaned, it still feels like what you wanted it to. And that takes experience, or a lot of trial and error, which I guess is experience. So if you want the experience for yourself, if you want to be an expert fabric picker, you really should become an intern to an expert fashion designer who works 16 hours a day schlepping lattes for him or her all day long, and then become an intern for another 5 or 6 years to a textile agent and schlep Americanos, extra shot, 16, 17 hours a day for him or her. Or If you want to hire a fashion agent to pick fabric that has the highest chances, not going to be perfect ever, but your chances of getting something that you really love are best when you work with an expert that's already experienced and that understands you. So, to contact a fabric agent, a fabric textile sourcing agent, go to gradingfashion.com/fabric. gradingfashion.com/fabric.